Welcome to tonight's live stream. I'm going to get started in a minute. I just need a minute to promote the show on social media, and I'll get started with tonight's topic. Get started. Okay, with the whole stream promoted, I'm going to get into tonight's perfunctory first. Now, I want to give a progress report on the John Haynes at Death Store comic, and Antonio Balderi has told me that page 29 is almost finished, so we're getting near the end as related to the art getting done. We're only three more pages and a cover until the John Haynes at Death Store comic is finished, and I can't wait to share this one with you guys on the Kickstarter. So if you have some suggestions for things you want to see as rewards or stretch goals, drop me a email at sjsdirectamerica@gmail.com, and I will take those into consideration because I'm working on the stretch goals, and I've talked to an artist about doing a John Haynes print, so that's one of the things I want to plan for stretch goals. But if you guys have other suggestions, I'll be glad to take them into consideration. And in addition to John Haynes at Death Store, I got in touch with Bill Walko about the 2022 ISIS and Easting covers, and he sent me sketches of them, and those are available for my patrons to look at on patreon.com, and you can take a look at that concept art for both ISIS Legacy and Easting Horror of the Hyena Woman. So both of those are available on the Patreon right now, and patrons can look at that concept art right now, along with the first two blogs of 2022. So that I'm going to leave a link to ISIS Legacy on the Legacy concept cover blog. Take a look at that one, and you can also look at the sketch for the Easting or Hyena Woman concept. Both of those are available on the Patreon, and you can take a look at those. And I told Bill that he could go ahead with the inks and colors. So those books are going to be ready for the fall, for not the fall, for the spring of 2022. I'm hoping to have them out, hopefully by April or March at the earliest. So those two books are ready to go. I'm hoping to get them out to the marketplace quickly for the 2022 spring catalog. Now, I'm still working on the woman crisis, and I'm making very good progress on the woman crisis. I'm getting closer and closer to the finish line. So I want everybody to know that that book is on its way. So after I do this first draft, I go into editing, and then I'll be going to start cleaning this book up and getting it ready for publication. And you should have a companion to the Man Crisis this fall. But until then, you can pick up some of the SJS Direct 2021 books, like John Hayes Taking Care of Business, ISIS Revenge of the Cyber Goddess, and Eastern Cancellation on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find these books, well, all of them are on Amazon with the exception of John Hayes. So get those books on Amazon right now in paperback and Kindle format. And I have other books on SJS Directs on my page you can pick up as well. Now, with all that done, I'm going to get into tonight's topic. Before I get into tonight's topic, I'm going to give everybody a shout out. What's going on? The King. What's going on? D-Wood78, See Truth, The Revelator, Computer Robots. Glad to see you all here. And I'm going to get into tonight's topic, which is, the title is called $1 Billion Bustdown. Now, I made this to be a video. I was planning this to be a video about your Rihanna, but I decided that I didn't cover enough of the topic in the video I planned for Sunday night, so I'm going to do it as a live stream. Now, the reason why I'm calling Rihanna $1 billion bustdown is because I've gotten a lot of comments in the comments section telling me about how your Rihanna is a billionaire. And many of these people want to try to deflect from Rihanna's egregious behavior as related to disrespecting the legacy of our icon, Dr. Martin Luther King, by putting a gold grill in his mouth and an earring on his ear. And then she's going to go out here and then, after disrespecting Dr. King, go out here and announce that she's pregnant by an ASAP Rocky. Now, the reason why I call your Rihanna $1 billion bustdown is because she basically is behaving just like a bustdown. Now, many of these people who want to defend Rihanna, they want to go out here and talk about how much money your Rihanna has, but men do not measure a woman's success as related to how much money she has. That is a mistake that many women make under feminism, and because they buy into feminism, they believe that your money makes you the equal of a man, but men do not judge women by the standard of how much money they have. No, they judge them by the character that they have. Now, the late, great David Carroll oftentimes pointed this out whenever he presented the old African proverb in many of his videos. And in that old African proverb, he oftentimes stated that a race can rise no higher than the moral position of its women, and as the woman goes, so goes the race. And when we take a critical examination of Rihanna's moral position, that moral position is basically in the sewer. So when we look at Rihanna's morals and values, we do not see a woman of exceptional character. We do not see a woman who is ready to be a suitable helpmate, and we do not see a woman who meets the standards of a woman under God's natural order. No, we don't see a woman who meets any of those standards that a man would consider for a woman to be considered to be his wife. So when we look at your Rihanna, we don't see a woman who meets the values and character of a woman most men would want to even consider taking home to their mothers and their family to present to be a new partner and wife in that family. Now, when we look at your Rihanna, we look at a woman of extremely low character, and she's been of extremely low character for years. Now, your Rihanna has been around the block several times, whether it was with your Chris Brown early on in her career and your Drake, and then she went out here and got involved after she had her relationships with Drake and Chris Brown and had a whole lot of drama with them. She then started getting involved with a whole bunch of white guys and who basically turned her out. And all of those guys who she had all of those relationships with, many of those men had an opportunity to go out here and make your Rihanna a wife, but they had no, but for some strange reason, they had no motivation to ever propose marriage to this woman because they started to look again at her moral character. I mean, let's go back in the 08, 09, or 2010 period when Rihanna was with Chris Brown. And one of the reasons why that domestic violence incident transpired was because Rihanna was on a cell phone talking to another guy while she was riding inside of the car with Chris Brown. Now, I do not condone domestic violence in any way, shape, or form. And if your Chris Brown did put his hands on Rihanna, he was completely out of pocket because a man of character, when he sees a female on the phone with another dude and he's riding in his car, what he does is he goes out here and he charges that female to the game. And while he's riding in that car, he drops her off wherever she's going to go. Then he keeps on driving and deletes her number. That's what a man of character does with this kind of woman. But sadly, your Chris Brown grew up in an extremely dysfunctional environment where he saw his stepfather abusing his mother, and he put hands allegedly on your Rihanna. But that was just the start of showing the low character of a Rihanna, and that was the start of showing how she was slowly on the road to what I call your bust downtown. Now, your women, again, wind up on the road to bust downtown due to the actions they participate in. Now, a woman doesn't have to go on the road of bust downtown if she has values and good moral character. If a woman is serving the Most High God and preparing to be a helpmeet to a man and a wife to a man, she's not on the road to bust downtown. No, that's the woman who would be a quality woman who is ready to be a wife. But your Rihanna, she was never interested in being wife material. She was looking to go out here and follow the feminist path and be this independent woman who just could go out here and do whatever she pleased. And she thought that this is going to be the thing that leads to her having some sort of high value because she was making all of this money. But a woman making money is not what a man measures a woman by. No, a man measures a woman by the character that she has. And when he sees a female out here running around and doing ratchet stuff early on, that's when most men of character choose not to get involved with that woman. Now, your Rihanna, as she was going out here getting involved with guys like Chris Brown and Drake, she started making really big money. And as she was making this big money, she decided not to deal with black men, but what she decided to do was go out here and start getting involved with white men. Now, your Rihanna basically did this because she thought she could go out here and get with guys on her economic level, but the whole thing is her character was on another level. It's like David Carroll oftentimes said, about water seeking its own level. And while your Rihanna was out here looking at these white guys did not see a woman that they saw as wife material. No, they saw a woman who they considered to possibly be thought material. And because they saw her as thought material, what they thought to do with Yuriana was not make her a wife. All they thought to do was basically have a fling with Yoriana where they would gas her head up, then get her to persuade her to take down the skid mark thong, and then go out here and get access to those draws and go out here, do their business, bust a few nuts, and then be on their way. And that's basically what guys like your Ashton Kutcher did with your Rihanna. He went out here and had a casual fling with your Rihanna, and that's what these guys did. They basically turned this woman out, and even though she was building up all of these riches as related to money and was on the same level economically as an Ashton Kutcher, her social marketplace value was dropping faster than an Enron stock. And the reason why her social marketplace value was dropping was because these white guys who she was out here looking to get involved with, to have a relationship with, these guys were basically smutting her out, turning her out, and using her for her body and getting what they wanted, which was one, sex with a black woman, and two, getting themselves an I'm not racist card. And after they got their I'm not racist card and got their taste of chocolate atomic waste, they then decided to broom your Rihanna and then start focusing on building the actual family they wanted to build. So when I look at guys like Ashton Kutcher, yeah, he got involved with a Rihanna on a fling, but when it came time for him to go out here and get married and build his family, who did he go to? He didn't go to Demi Moore, who already had an established family and had wealth to build his own family and have children. No, he basically used her as a stepping stone towards building his own wealth. And then once he decided after his Rihanna fling, he decided to get married to his former co-star, Mila Kunis. And when your Ashton Kutcher started making the really big paper out here, you notice he's married to Mila Kunis. He's got 2 kids by Mila Kunis, and that ensures that his wealth is protected and taken care of by his wife, Mila Kunis, and is going to be given to his children. So a lot of these people want to talk about, oh, Rihanna's got all this money, but she is rich. She's not wealthy. Yes, she's got $1 billion, but her social marketplace value is lower than a $5 food stamp without the book, because your Rihanna's social marketplace value is practically worthless. She's out here looking, yes, she's got a lot of money, but she does not have any sort of values or moral character, because she does not have value or moral character. This is why many men who are out here looking to build don't see her as wife material. Yes, they will go out on a date with her. Yes, they will go out here and take her someplace and pull down the skid mark thong and do their business, but they are not going to put a ring on the finger of a Rihanna, a 33-year-old woman who is getting closer and closer to the wall. So they look at your Rihanna, and they're not, again, not looking at somebody who has the moral character to be a wife. And they're really starting to sit there and think about things like, if I get involved with this woman, will she be a good mother to my children? And that is one of the reasons why many of these men do not want to marry a Rihanna, because they look at her and they say, even in spite of that $1 billion she has, they're looking at what type of moral position she has, and they're thinking about what type of lessons that she's going to teach their children. So they're thinking that, hey, if I get involved with this woman, she's going to teach my children to be just like her, and they're going to be these dysfunctional children who have all sorts of amoral values and will practically do whatever they want. And that's not something that many men really want to go out here and have be their wife and teach their children these kinds of values, because those kinds of values can practically destroy every part of the family that that man is trying to build. Because if you get involved with the wrong woman, what that woman will do is she will mess up your children, and she will wind up making your kids practically really dysfunctional, because all they'll be thinking about are the dysfunctional things like Rihanna does, thinking about getting attention from people and creating lots of drama and doing things to embarrass you, like she did when she posted that picture of Dr. Martin Luther King with that gold grill and that diamond earring. That is something that reflects badly on a man, and that's why those men who got involved with her were not thinking ever about marrying her. They realized that this woman, if I get involved with her, is going to be a bad reflection on them. And that's what most men think about whenever they get a girlfriend or wife, how that woman reflects on them optically. Because your woman who is with you, that says a lot about you. And if your woman is acting ratchet and acting raggedy, it really says that a message to other people that you're a weak man and you're not a man that other people need to respect. That is something that women out here really don't think about critically when they make statements saying, oh, Rihanna is the prize. Well, how much of a prize is it when you have a woman that's with you that goes out here and participates in behavior that embarrasses you? That's a critical question I want to ask many of the Rihanna defenders. How does it look when you have a woman at your side who participates in behavior that embarrasses you? Because lots of guys out here, that was why they chose not to get with her, because she participates in behavior that embarrasses people and basically makes a guy look bad optically. Because if your woman is out here all tatted up and doing all sorts of things to get attention, that reflects badly on you. And it says that you're a weak man that nobody should even consider respecting. Because if you can't get your woman in line and get your house in order, then you are not capable of taking care of somebody's business. That's the way people see a guy like who would get like a guy like an ASAP Rocky right now, because he's dealing with a female who is running the show and is practically making him look bad overall. Now, your Rihanna, she's again, her social marketplace value has dropped lower than Enron stock, and she's now in the social marketplace at a value of $5 food stamp without the book. And because she's in Bustdown Town in the 2000 section, some guys would think, oh, this is a great value, but it's not a great value at all. Now, when your females fall into Bustdown Town, they are there for a reason. Just like, when you go to the used car lot and you see all of the nice, shiny used cars, you start thinking, oh, this car is so nice, but there are reasons why that car is in that used car lot. The previous owner had some problems with it, and those problems could range from economic problems that a family was having because a relative passed away and they needed to sell that car, So that car might be in truly good condition. And sometimes you do luck out on a cream puff like that at the used car lot or the auto auction. But that's a few and far between thing because a lot of the cars that are at an auto auction or a used car lot or a place are there for a reason. And like your used cars, your bust downs are there in bust downtown for a reason. And there's a reason why those men were not interested in making that woman a wife. And those reasons are very similar to the reason why people don't go out here and buy certain used cars. Usually, it's just too much work to be able to fix said vehicle, and it just costs more than the vehicle is actually worth. For example, when you have a car that's like a really nice looking on the outside, and there are some problems like head gaskets or a rod knock, there's no reason for you to go spend a lot of money to fix those problems because it would cost a mechanic just as much to fix it as the vehicle is worth on the Kelly Blue Book value. So that's why that car, even though it's got nice shiny paint, is on the lot. It's there because the problems that the car has are just too expensive for anybody to deal with. And the only people who go out here and pick up those used cars are picking them up basically for parts, or they are just picking them up just to try to get some scrap metal. Basically, it's just that's the only two reasons why they're dealing with that broken down vehicle. And that's the only reason why some guys go out here and deal with the bust down. Now, a lot of those guys who are dealing with the bust down are the same kind of guys who go down to the auto auction or the used car lot looking for a deal. But unlike the guys who are flippers who know the game, what happens is these guys wind up getting played because they just don't know how things work. Now, a guy who knows how to work the used car game or the car flipping game, they know what to look for in a car. But when it comes down to your females who are in bust downtown, usually most guys stay away from there because they know that all the women who are there are damaged goods. Now, the bus downtown is not a physical place. It is a place where women go because their social marketplace value has fallen and their moral character is really low. And you don't have to be just some poor hood rat to be a part of bus downtown, like D Wood 78 pointed out earlier. No, there are lots of rich women who are in bus downtown, like your Halle Berry, who currently is there right now, and many other faded former actresses and women who were part of the casting couch and women who made Me Too allegations. These are all residents of your bus downtown, and these females are there again because of their low moral position. And these women can be millionaires, these women can be billionaires, and again, it is not the amount of money that makes them residents of bus downtown. No, it is their moral character that has led them into this place, and it is their moral character that has them trying to desperately sell themselves inside of bus downtown for reduced prices because these women missed the opportunity to find a husband, or in some cases had a husband but couldn't keep him. Now they are in the bus downtown for half price, usually 50, 60, 70, even 80% off the original price that they were going to get if they were in the dating scene. And now they're hoping, wishing, and praying that some desperate simp will come out here and go out here and try to have a relationship with them. And that's where your Rihanna is right now. She's the $1 billion bust down, like the Rolls Royce that is sitting in the used car lot. And a lot of thirsty guys, they would see the Rolls Royce in the used car lot for a low price, and they would think that this is a good deal. And one of those guys was your ASAP Rocky. He walked into the Bus Downtown lot in the 2000 section. He saw this Rihanna sitting there, and as he saw your Rihanna sitting there, he thought, oh, this will be a good deal for me. I'll be able to have a relationship with a billionaire woman, and I will be able to have a girlfriend of such quote unquote high status. It will elevate my status. And what your ASAP Rocky did when he got involved with your Rihanna was he thought he was going to get a deal that was going to benefit him, but he didn't understand that your Rihanna was in Bust Downtown for a reason. She had been passed around to those white boys who had practically dropped her off on the Bus Downtown lot. And after they dropped her down to the Bus Downtown lot, they then went out here and left her there to just to be picked up by whoever. And sadly, your ASAP Rocky, being the simp that he is, he decided to pick up the $1 billion bust down for 60% off the price, and he did so thinking that he was going to get a good deal. But the only deal he's going to get is a raw deal, and he's going to get a raw deal because this whole relationship he's having with your Rihanna is going to become a nightmare. And the reason why it's going to become a nightmare is because it follows a paradigm that your Tariq Nasheed talked about a woman wanting one good simp, and your ASAP Rocky is that one good simp. Now, your ASAP Rocky is the one good simp because he's the last chance that your Rihanna has for a relationship, and he's the guy she's attached the emotional hose to, because usually when these bust downs know that their ability to attract men is going to end, they try to get involved with one good simp, and once they get involved with the simp, they try to get a baby with that man, and then they use that baby to basically go out here and drop all of their emotional baggage on that man as they have a codependent relationship with him. So this guy, he's going to be the one who is going to be verbally and emotionally abused by your Rihanna, the $1 billion bust down, and she's going to use her economic leverage, and she's going to use the leverage of the courts to practically beat the living crap out of your ASAP Rocky. And he's the one who's going to have to deal with all of the baby mama drama, and he's going to wonder where all of that baby mama drama comes from. Well, I'll tell you where all of the baby mama drama comes from, and the baby mama drama comes from the numerous mental issues that will be fostered as a result of your Rihanna's previous sexual encounters with multiple men. Now, whenever a woman goes out here and has sex with a man, she exchanges DNA and he puts his spirit within her. This is what Ringo talked about in many of his videos and live streams. And it goes back to a biblical statement that when a man and a woman lie together, the two become one. And your Rihanna has multiple spirits from multiple men inside of her. If you count guys like your Chris Brown, your Drake, and your Ashton Kutcher, and all of these spirits are fighting and pulling at her spirit, and that's causing many of the issues she has that makes her behave erratically. And as she thinks about all of those failed relationships she's having with those men and all of the things that she did in her past, she's going to be projecting all of that anger onto your ASAP Rocky, and this guy is the one who's going to have to deal with all of the anger and all of the rage that this woman projects on him as related to the failed relationships she's had. It's no different than what happened with Evelyn Lozado and Chad Ochocinco back about 10 years ago. Whenever these women have been around the block with multiple men, then they get involved with this simp, and then they go out here and take out all of their anger on that guy and basically treat him worse than a red-headed stepchild. So this guy will be sitting here. He'll be in this relationship in the beginning. Yes, it will be him feeling good for a moment, but there's going to become a moment where he's going to have to deal with her turning into a Ms. Hyde and expressing all of this rage and directing all of this rage at him. And he's going to wonder, where is all of that rage coming from? Well, all of that rage is coming from all of those demonic spirits that are within her, and the fact that she has all of these different conflicts because she never bonded with a man, and she's just desperately getting involved with this guy because this is her last chance to get involved with anyone, and this is her last chance at any form of relationship. So this is her last chance at anything that's related to stuff. So she's going to try to go out here and get this guy to be the last one that she gets involved with, and that's what she's trying to do. But they usually mess up their relationship with this last guy because of all of the emotional baggage that these women have. Because in order to get involved with this kind of woman who's been again around the block with multiple guys, you'd have to be a Pullman. What happens to these guys is they become what I call the Pullman porter, and the Pullman porter is the guy who has to just carry this woman's emotional baggage from one station to the next. Now, again, for ASAP Rocky, he's thinking he's got a great deal with this woman, but he's not understanding the maintenance issues he's going to have to deal with. Like the guy who goes out here and buys the $1,500 Rolls Royce. Yes, it's a good deal, but the whole thing is you have to know what maintenance issues you're going to have to deal with, because the maintenance issues you would have to deal with on a Rolls Royce are extremely expensive. And while you got the car cheap, the parts that you need to fix the car back up, these parts cost hundreds and thousands of dollars. And that's why guys who see the Rolls Royce leave it right there and go and pick up a Honda Accord, because yes, the Honda Accord may cost a little more in the short run, but the Honda Accord makes a good A to B car because the engine is reliable and parts are easy to source either at the dealership or the junkyard. But when you're dealing with bust downs, the issues that you're needing to help fix with this woman are not as easy to fix as a Rolls Royce, which has, again, some of the highest maintenance costs. They are almost impossible to fix because, one, the woman will not cooperate with you, and she will not cooperate with you because she's had a lot of emotional baggage and she won't acknowledge the problems she's having. So if you get involved with the $1 billion bust down with the high maintenance costs, she's not going to cooperate with you because she believes she's an independent woman and she does not have any problems at all. But your Rihanna has serious problems, because if you can go out here and disrespect Dr. King, and then after disrespecting Dr. King, come out here and announce that you're a baby mama, you really have some serious issues that need to be dealt with. But those issues are not going to get dealt with because your Rihanna is somebody who is in denial about herself. She believes that because she has $1 billion, that relates to her self-worth. But when we look at her behavior, it shows how low her self-worth truly is, because she's going to go out here and get involved with an ASAP Rocky, and that just shows how water seeks its own level. And your Rihanna's low level is due to her low self-esteem because in spite of having that $1 billion, she does not see herself as being valuable like that $1 billion. Because if your Rihanna had a sense of self-worth and a sense of self-esteem, she would not be proud to be a baby mama. No, she would be out here wanting to become a respected wife, and she would want the title of wife because she would have a standard for how she carried and conducted herself. No woman of character wants to go out here and to be a baby mama. No, that is a title that just shows how this woman is of low character and should be, and it's one of shame because if you're a baby mama, it just says that you failed at the courtship process and you failed at being able to pick a partner. Because a woman of character, she should be able to go out here and be able to have a relationship end with marriage, and she would be able to have a husband, not some baby daddy. So I look at that whole aspect of your Rihanna, and it's again really sad. People want to defend this woman talking about her $1 billion, but her $1 billion don't really show again her moral value, because if she was a woman of strong moral value and strong moral character, she would not be out here talking about proudly being a baby mama. No, she would be announcing her engagement to a man who was on her level, and she would have had no problem having a relationship with a man who was on her level because her values would attract the same man to her, and she would be able to have a relationship with a man on that level. But it goes back to an old saying that I've said for many years: like attracts like. And when we see your ASAP Rocky, your Rihanna is attracting someone who is just like her. And that just again shows how low she is in spite of having that $1 billion. Yes, you have $1 billion, but you have a food stamp mentality. And because you have a food stamp mentality, yeah, she's out here with these low seed, dusty guys who are out here and dealing with guys who practically cannot get themselves together. Because your ASAP Rocky is basically a Pookie who's just gotten lucky, and he's basically a guy who's just gotten by just by the skin of his teeth on luck. Because after that incident in, I believe it was Sweden, where he got, or the Netherlands, where he got involved with these paparazzi, I mean, he needed Donald Trump to get him out of that situation. And now he's gotten himself in a situation that nobody will be able to get him out of, because now he's on the hook for the next 18 years, and he's going to be jammed up for the next 18 years dealing with baby mama drama, and he's probably going to be dealing with a whole lot of child support drama. And it's all sadly his own fault, because he thought, oh, this Rihanna is the same Rihanna from the 2000s. And he thought, oh, she's just as pretty as she was in the 2000s. But he didn't understand that your Rihanna in 2022 is not like the Rihanna of the 2000s. She's got a lot of miles on that crutch, and the odometer says to be continued. And she has a whole host of other emotional and mental health issues due to the numerous sexual partners she had. And she's just got a whole lot of drama going on with her. And yes, she's got $1 billion, but she's still as ghetto as a hood rat who is on welfare. And when I look at your Rihanna's relationship with your ASAP Rocky, it reminds me of two relationships that I saw that were really dysfunctional. One was the recent relationship between your Jason Momoa and your Lisa Bonet, where your simp, Jason Momoa, was out here. He wanted to get with Lisa Bonet because she was his fantasy. But in reality, as he started to get more fame and more popularity, he decided to get rid of Lisa Bonet because she was somebody who was just a like anchor on his leg, and he just decided to get rid of her due to Hollywood hypergamy. So he decided to monkey branch away from Lisa Bonet because he had outgrown her. And yes, he did have two kids with her, but he decided that this woman, even though she was making more money than him for a time, he decided to leave this woman because it just wasn't worth the stress. And he had said in some ways he had grown apart, but that's what happens in a lot of cases because your simp realizes that this woman isn't what he imagined her to be, and the reality is not a optimal for him. It's more of a nightmare being involved with this kind of female. Now, the other relationship was the one in the classic movie Sunset Boulevard. Now, in Sunset Boulevard, your Joe Gillis is a screenwriter who is struggling, and he's so down on his luck that he turns into a mansion to hide his car, and the mansion is the that mansion of faded actress Norma Desmond. And inside of that mansion, he starts to have a relationship with your Norma Desmond, thinking he's going to game her by writing a screenplay for her Salome. But the whole thing is he falls into her trap, and this older woman basically takes advantage of your Joe Gillis, and she basically uses him as a tool to get her attention for herself, and she also uses him as a boy toy to go out here and use for her own sexual pleasure. Now, this relationship deteriorates when your Joe Gillis realizes he's been emasculated by Norma Desmond, and he's been stripped of all of his manhood to the point where it has no real dignity or any intangibles of his manhood. So he realizes that he's practically compromised all of his intangibles as related to character, and that's what makes him want to leave Hollywood. And as he's trying to leave, your Norma Desmond murders Joe Gillis, and this leads to the end of the movie turning into the beginning of the movie, where we see Joe Gillis floating in the pool. And that is the final fate, sadly, I see for an ASAP Rocky getting involved with this billionaire Rihanna, because he's getting involved with a Norma Desmond who is desperate for attention, and he's involved with this woman who's extremely desperate for attention, and he doesn't understand what he's getting into. He's thinking, again, he's getting a good deal because this celebrity is wanting to have a relationship with him and wants to have a child with him, but he doesn't understand he's making a deal with the devil, and this deal is going to burn him sooner rather than later, because getting involved with this kind of female is something that will lead to his end, but he doesn't understand how bad this is going to end, because he's thinking, oh, it's Rihanna. I got a good deal with her. I got her after she was with all of these guys, and this is going to be a good relationship because while it didn't work out with those guys, it'll work out for me. This is something many of your simps say to themselves. Oh, even though she's had like 4 or 5 boyfriends, it'll be different with me. No, it's not going to be different with you, because this woman has a paradigm, and this paradigm for relationships, this is the thing that always leads to her relationships failing. And you have to look at the pattern and paradigm that this woman has before you get involved with them. But no, many people, they just want to sit down and say, oh, Rihanna has $1 billion. Well, if this woman has $1 billion, that's not something that men consider part of their criteria. And whenever I hear that argument, it takes me back to when your black women would come out here and say, oh, this woman has all of these degrees, has this really good job, but that's not what a man is looking for in a partner or a helpmeet in a relationship. No, when a man is looking for a helpmeet, he could care less about your degrees. He could care less about what university you went to, and he could care less about how much money you have. No, he doesn't care about those things because the two things he is looking at are your moral position, your values, and he's also looking at your character. These things tell him what type of woman you are, and these are the things that he is basing and wants to build a relationship on. And most God-centered men, we are looking for women who one want to have a relationship with the Most High and want to serve the Most High, and we're looking for women who want to follow the Most High and be a part of God's natural order. So that's what a man of character is looking for. But your women out here, because they have been indoctrinated into feminism, they're sitting there thinking that you're only looking for her to have all of this money. But no, that's not your job. That's not your role. And it is not for you to be the one making the money. No, your job is to try to help the man in doing God's work. And your job is to help this man maintain the stewardship he has been given as related to God's natural order. That is what men are looking for when they look for a relationship with a woman. And that's the thing that your people who wanted to defend Rihanna don't really understand. Most men are not interested in your $1 billion because if you have $1 billion and no character, then there's no reason for him to even consider you for a relationship. And that's why these women get passed by when it's time for a man to consider a wife. And the only guys who deal with these kinds of women most of the time are the most desperate guys, like your whoremongers, or they deal with your players, guys who want to just have a fling with these kinds of women. And then after they've had their fling and gotten them to drop the skid mark thong, they then bounce and be on their way. So there's no substance to their relationship, only flash. And that's what your Rihanna wound up chasing after early on. And that's how she wound up becoming a resident of Bustdown Town on the 2000 section of the lot, and wound up getting picked up by the desperate simp ASAP, or ASAP Rocky. And this ASAP Rocky picked her up for the bargain price of 60% off. But if your Rihanna had maintained some sort of moral character, she wouldn't be the $1 billion bust down. No, she would have been a wife to a man, and she would have been wealthy in spirit, and she would have received wealth as related to building a family, and would be having a family with a man who would want to, again, be a husband to her, and would make sure that her children would be legitimate as related to his family with his name. There wouldn't be this dysfunctional mess that your Rihanna is having right now with your ASAP Rocky, where she's a baby mama. And what's really, again, sad about this whole situation is the week before she announced this pregnancy, where she's a baby mama, she goes out here and disrespects Dr. King. What's going on, Gabria? Glad to see you here. I am talking about the $1 billion bust down, which is Rihanna, and explaining why, in spite of this Rihanna having $1 billion, she is not anybody most men wanted to deal with. And a lot of people, they think that, oh, because this woman has a lot of money, she makes for a great partner. But no, most men are not judging a woman by the money she has. They judge her by her moral position, and they judge her by her character. And the whole thing is that they don't really understand this point, because, again, feminism has really messed up a lot of women thinking that men and women are the same. And I make this point in The Woman Crisis. A lot of women, they think that the same standard for relationships are the same for women as they are for men. No, men are supposed to be the providers, and that's why people measure them based on an economic barometer. But women, because they are going to be the one who set the direction for the family and set the direction for the race. They are judged by their moral position, and it is the morals and values that they have that make them an asset to a man in a marriage. And that is why men who consider women for marriage are looking for women with a strong moral position. But many women who have been indoctrinated into feminism, they don't really understand that how things work as related to relationship dynamics. And true, Gabriel, yeah, I'm still not happy about the fact that she disrespected Dr. King and didn't apologize. But what really disgusted me is people wanted to defend Rihanna, and she disrespected Dr. King, an icon in African American civil rights, and thought she could go out here and get a pass for it. And sadly, there were people who wanted to give her a pass for it, but I'm not one of those people to give her a pass for disrespecting Dr. King. I mean, I'm not gonna do that at all because that's just something I'm not gonna do. I don't give these bootlicks a pass, and I don't want to give them any sort of attention like this. But I wanted to address many of these Rihanna fans who have been dropping these emotional comments and explain why their favorite celebrity is nothing more than $1 billion bust down. And being a bust down, again, is not about your economic status. It is about your moral position. It is about you going out here and lowering yourself as related to your character and not having respect for yourself. And that just shows how little character she has. And that just shows why she went out of her way to disrespect our icon, Dr. Martin Luther King, because she had no respect for herself. Now, I heard about the situation with Kevin Samuels and that other bust down Nicki Minaj and how she gamed him. And I saw on Ringo's live stream how that happened. I may do a video on that whole situation, but that was your Kevin Samuels showing us the truth about himself, in that he's just all about trying to climb up the Hollywood social ladder, because here he is with one of the greatest bust downs of all time, the bust down goat, Nicki Minaj. And instead of being a man and calling her out, what he does is he bootlicks your Nicki Minaj, starts simping on her, and looking to try to get brownie points with her to get into a bigger social circle. And that just shows the weakness of a Kevin Samuels. And at that point, basically, he just showed us all how he jumped the shark as related to his whole narrative and his whole message. So I saw what went on early on with the Kevin Samuels on Ringo's live stream, and I may do my own video on it, because this is the defining moment for your Kevin Samuels, that his credibility is shot, because here you are, you're in front of one of the worst thoughts out there. One of the women that was the other woman, Megan Thee Stallion, who did the WAP. But he could have called her out and held her accountable, but instead of holding her accountable, he punked out and started pandering in the hopes of building a larger audience of Black women who are dysfunctional, instead of holding her accountable. And that just shows me how he's a high value simp, because he couldn't call out the $1 million bust down the way I'm calling out the $1 billion bust down, and explaining to people what makes, again, this woman a bust down is her lack of moral character. And that's why she's single and on the bust downtown lot, because guys have ridden her hard, put her away wet, given her a to be continued on the vaginal odometer, and then parked her on the bust down lot. And while she's there, these simps are looking at the outside that's covered up in caked up makeup, thinking they're gonna get a good deal. The same way a teenager goes on the used car lot, he sees the 5.0 Mustang sitting there with that low price of $1,500 with the shiny paint. he's thinking he's getting a good deal and he's going to have a fly ride to get all the girls to pay attention to him. But what he's got is a busted jalopy that's going to give him more problems and cost more money than it's actually worth. And that is what your ASAP Rocky has signed on for. And that's something that everybody really needs to think about as related to your or Rihanna. Again, don't think about that $1 billion because it's going to cost you a lot more than $1 billion to deal with this kind of woman. No, you're going to be dealing with a lot of issues with this woman as she goes out here and tries to emasculate you and strip you of your manhood. And she's going to give you so much grief that being in a relationship with this woman will not be something worth it. You would be better off with an average looking woman than dealing with this so-called beautiful celebrity. And it's just not worth the headaches. It's just not worth the grief, and it's just not worth all of the drama you're going to deal with. But sadly, nobody sat down and talked to ASAP Rocky, who, after getting jammed up in Sweden or wherever it was, still shows how green he is. Because I look at this guy and it's like clearly he had no father there to sit down and talk to him. He clearly had no man to sit down and give him advice. He had no male life skills and male survival skills, because any guy who had any sort of male guidance would understand that there's just certain women you just don't deal with. And women like Rihanna, yes, they're on the market, but there's a reason why she's on the market. And she's on the market because she's got a lot of problems that are beyond most average men's abilities to deal with. So a lot of guys, they sit out here thinking, oh, I'm going to get a good deal. No, you're going to get a raw deal. And that raw deal is one that you will regret making if you get involved with this kind of woman, because it's just not worth any of all of that grief that you're going to have to deal with, all that stress, all that anxiety. It's just not worth it. Yeah, she's got $1 billion, but the problems are going to cost you trillions in stress, trillions in headaches, and you're not going to receive a day's worth of rest, because that's one of the intangibles that most men really want, is that peace and quiet. They want that ability to go out here and rest, and you can't get that when you're dealing with a bust-down woman, because the bust-down baggage, it just leads to you just having so many problems. You won't get a single moment of a peace of mind, because every time you think that things are getting all right, her insecurities are going to make her create some sort of drama. And this is what your ASAP Rocky has signed on for. And sadly, he's stuck in this deal for 18 years. So he's basically like the guy who goes out here and leases the used car. And that's one of the worst deals you could ever do, is lease the used car. You're practically going to pay as much as you would for a brand new car for something that's a beater with a bunch of miles on it. And that's the sad deal that your ASAP Rocky has signed on for. And he really doesn't know what he's gotten himself into. Again, he's like the teenager who sees the 5.0 Mustang in the used car lot, red, nice and shiny, thinks it's a good deal. But because he doesn't know anything about engines, he doesn't know anything about maintenance, doesn't know about taking a car to a mechanic. He doesn't know what problems lie under this vehicle. And if he knew what he was getting into, he would be running and heading for the hills, because this vehicle has so many issues. That's why that original owner dumped them there. So that's what happened with this Rihanna. And it's something that, again, people aren't really looking at, because they're thinking, oh, she's got all this money, but money doesn't buy love, and money cannot buy you intangibles of womanhood, like integrity and character. No, those are things that you are raised with, and if you're not raised with character, you're not going to be somebody many people want to deal with, because that character you show through your actions will show you're not somebody they can trust to have a relationship with. So that's what people don't understand. They're sitting there talking about $1 billion, but a billionaire who's a baby mama, that's not a good look optically. I mean, how many people who make money would go out here and want to be a single mom? I mean, the only people I see who do this are people like Halle Berry and Rihanna, who are dysfunctional, and their dysfunction shows in their actions, and it shows that this, again, is not somebody you would want to go out here and praise, like these people who are dropping in the comment section. They really don't understand what a woman of character is, because they have been indoctrinated into feminism, and they're sitting there thinking, oh, because this person has money, they have worth. But a person who shows how they value themselves by their actions, and a woman who values herself is not going to willfully and intentionally go out here and announce that she's a single mother. That's what women won't do intentionally, like she has done and what Halle Berry did. But that's why these women are bust downs in spite of their money, because they bust down their own value by showing how little character they have. Now, I think I'm gonna still release that bust down video on Sunday, but I'm also thinking about doing another video about another disturbing actress, this AJ Johnson, and making that the Sunday video. So it's in the air, because I originally planned this to just be a video, but I wanted to touch on other points as related to it. That's why I made it a live, because this was a subject I felt needed to be talked about as related to your Rihanna, the, again, $1 billion bust down, because being a bust down is not about money. I wanted to get people to understand that, yes, you can be a millionaire or a billionaire, and if your character and your values aren't right, you're not going to be a woman that a guy makes into a wife. And this is a textbook example of this. So I wanted to go further in depth on the subject with this live stream, because I thought the video, even though it's 15 minutes, I thought it wasn't enough. So Sunday's video might be about something else. And I have a video coming up talking about Jeff Zucker's resignation from NBC. So that's going to be coming up next on Saturday at 8. So look out for that one. But I may do another type of video for Sunday. And I did another video from a viewer request. I think it's going to come on Monday, about how to deal with domineering women at work. So there's a lot of content coming up on the channel. And if you want to request a video, you can do so. Thank you, Soul Survivor, for the super chat. I really appreciate it. I know you're at work. Salute, glad to see you here. A lot of guys, they watch my streams at work. I even have a family member, I think he watches my streams at work. So a lot of people watch my streams at work, and they watch them on the train and stuff. I've even met some viewers who talk to me about my channel. They've run into them when I was out and about. So if you guys want to drop a Cash App, you can drop a Cash App or drop a link for the Cash App. And if you want to pick up some of the books on the SJS Direct Imprint, you can pick up some of the books, like Why 70% of Black Women Are Single. That's a book that will show you many of the problems your Black women, like your Rihanna, have as related to relationships. I got your email, Sharon. I'm going to talk to you about that later after the show. I'll send you another email back, but I got your email. I got your emails yesterday, but I have been really busy this week. This is actually my third live stream for the week. But I'm gonna get ready to wrap up tonight's stream. But I run it again to really just break things down as related to these billion-dollar bust downs. So I'm hoping that everybody learned something about them. And I'm going to get ready to wrap up tonight's stream. And I want to thank everybody for coming out to tonight's stream. And I hope you'll be there for next week's stream. Everybody have a great weekend, and everybody have a good night.